Goodbye, old friend. Well folks, the time has come. It's the end of my few months with the Vstrom 800 DE. It is genuinely quite a sad time. I've really grown to love this bike. I didn't get anywhere near as many miles on it as I wanted to, thanks to the weather. Even today, it's absolutely blowing a hoolie. But yeah, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of everything I thought of it and say my goodbyes. Well folks, the time has come. Unfortunately, me and this wonderful bike now have to part ways. I've absolutely loved it. I'm just going to give you a quick summary of everything I've thought about it. And I've actually brought it out to kind of area that I think it's best for, to be honest with you. As I've said several times already, I'm a huge fan of this bike. I think Suzuki's done a really good job with it. The engine is the star of the show for me. It's one of the punchiest engines of that kind of size you're ever going to ride. We've had a few folk down, taking it for a spin. I always say to them, take it out, put it in A mode, let me know when you come back. And so far, it's just nothing but good feedback, which is great to hear. Really happy about that. The seating position for me, spot on. It is on the tall side, so for a taller rider, sorry, a shorter rider, they might be struggling a little bit, but I've been absolutely spot on with it. The tyres, like I've said from the start, really good on road. There is a mild bit of vagueness from the 21-inch front if you really push it, but I'm talking, you know, the kind of stuff that if you're pushing it that hard, get a different bike really. You know, it's when you get this kind of adventure style bike with the big front wheels, they can't do everything. And it's a vagueness, it's not actually a dangerous feeling or a kind of a, you know, it doesn't particularly run wide, anything like that. It's just, there's not as much feedback. I think the 21-inch front, the long travel suspension, all the stuff that makes it good off-road is a bit of a compromise on the road. But if you really want to get one and cane it, not that you should be caning it on the roads, the RE version with a 19-inch front is absolutely planted. I've no idea how for a 19 it feels as quick to turn in as it does. But it does. It's got bags of grip, and it's basically the same bike, but it's a road bike, whereas this one is probably a bit too much bike for me off-road at the moment. I'd like to learn how to ride off-road a bit more, get a DRZ 400 when it comes out. Sorry, DRZ, it's not a DRZ in the UK, it's a DRZ, silly me. Get a DRZ 400, 4S when they come out, take that for a spin off-road, learn, you know, how to drop it, how to pick it up, all that kind of stuff. This bike for me is, I mean, don't get me wrong, these wee kind of gravelly tracks I've been riding on, they're fine. I've had a few wee slips and slides because of the tyres, you know, they really are good in the dry, not so good in the wet on those kind of roads. But yeah, no, it's the gravel mode, I've turned that on a couple of times. Again, I don't have the balls to make the back end slip and slide about. In the right hands, I've no doubt this is an excellent bike off-road. I've watched a few videos online. Some people say the rear shock starts to get pushed out if you're really doing the heavy off-road stuff, but it's not an enduro bike, it's an adventure bike. And for that feature, for that style of riding, I think it's absolutely spot on. Like I say, it's more bike than I can handle off-road at the moment. No. But that's not to say at some point in the future I'll be more confident that way. But yeah, like I say, I've mainly been using it on the road, and there it's been superb. The seating position's been lovely. I'm just singing up lots of good things about it. Let me find something that I don't like about it. I don't like cleaning spokes, but actually that's all winter I've been riding this, and the spokes have managed to stay pretty clean. The muck off protectant spray I put on has done a really good job, and also the ultimate add-ons, heated grips I should say, have been roasty toasty the whole time. Rear spokes are probably a little bit more corroded. You know, it just seems to be a thing that it's very hard to keep the spokes clean, but for whatever reason the back ones, I guess they get more crap flinged up onto them in the front, and they do start to corrode a little bit. It's nothing that a fair bit of elbow grease won't remove, but it just seems to be part of the territory with these things. Fuel economy is, I would think Suzuki said you get about 280 miles. The most I've got is about 240 to a tank, which is still brilliant, really. You can't complain with that at all. Exhaust noise, I like the way it sounds. Personally, I probably would keep the standard exhaust. I think it actually sounds quite nice and it's not too intrusive. The modes, like I've said before, that A mode's beautiful, but in that B mode, I've had it back on again today for the gravelier roads. It's good for that, you know, you just turn it onto that, you've not got that kind of really twitchy motocross feeling throttle. Probably some of you out there are saying I'm a big pussy and that's what you want and you should get the backsliding all over the place. Good for you, you know, hopefully one day I'll be saying that kind of stuff too, but for the time being, no, the back end slips and so does my arsehole. So I decided it would be a good idea to finish my review off by just kind of going through a few things I could find online, any issues people were having with the bike. This was inspired by a comment from a guy called Thodoris3790. If you're watching, thanks very much. He just messaged me just to say, is the bike actually that good, or is it just because Suzuki have given you a free bike? And it's a really good question. There's so many things you see online, you don't know what's just advertising. I do sell them, you know, it'd be really weird of me just to say it's rubbish, but thankfully the bike is that good. But what I'm going to do is just going to go through a few little things I've found online. Wind problems on them. I personally found the DE, the screen on that I thought was really good. It's a lot smaller than the screen on the RE, and for me that actually felt better. I think if I bought an RE, I'd probably put a smaller screen the size of the one from the DE on it. But then I've had other people go out and say that they find the one on the RE much better. So yeah, it's always subjective. Vibration is the next thing. Yeah, it vibrates, yeah, through the pegs especially. I think if you are the sort of person who's super sensitive to vibration, test drive the bike first. You do feel a bit. I personally, I've ridden loads of twins. I think it didn't feel terrible, and at no point did it feel numb through my hands, anything like that. But I was definitely aware of a vibration through my feet at certain RPM, especially when you're, you know, champing on a little bit. In no way did it feel distressing or worrying to me personally. Headlight, I actually tried to do a video about the headlight. It could be more powerful. It's a really good, strong, focused beam, but it just kind of focuses a little bit far away. And as I said from the start, if I was riding this bike all year round through winter, I would put a set of auxiliary lights on there. There probably are other things that people out there are saying about bikes. That's the thing with the internet, it's really handy for you to find these kind of things, and you've got something you can look for before you come down. The downside of it is that it's also subjective. You know, I like this jumper, you probably think it looks like I look like an idiot wearing it. That's fine, my mum made it and I absolutely love it. But you know, when it comes down to bikes, it is also subjective. You know, one bike, you can go out on a bike and think it's the best thing ever, the next guy comes along and says it's rubbish. And that's why test drives are so important. And not just for that bike, for any bike, whatever bike you want to try, get down there and try it yourself, because you can go mad reading all these things online, but you really need to try them for yourself to make your own mind up. It's the only way. Well, that's it guys, thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been great fun putting these videos together. It's all been a bit of a learning curve for me. It's been a fair bit of work, but I've really enjoyed it. I have thought about doing a few more little videos here and there. I'll definitely be doing more for the shop, and then I know the camping one that went down quite well, so I'm probably going to do a bit more of that. Maybe set up a separate YouTube channel for that kind of stuff. But yeah, if there's anything else you guys want to see, just let us know. Until then, see you later.